Recently made some changes to the landscaping near my pond just to make maintenance a little nicer and formalize things a bit. So you can see I've added some river rock, put in some decomposed granite, reworked the pavers, and also installed some edging. So I thought it'd be a good time to talk about edging with you. I get that question quite a bit on what edging I use. So just talk through what I have employed in this yard. So I'm using edging for a couple purposes. One, for root containment of plants. You can see an example right in front. I have a sea breeze clumping bamboo. While the culms themselves stay to a fairly tight footprint with clumping bamboo, those hairy roots that seek out water can actually extend far beyond the culms. So I wanted to keep them contained so that they're not sucking my subtropicals dry that I have nearby. So I employed edging to cut off that root system and confine it to the footprint of the plant. So the style of edging I'm using here is a product from Cor-Ten. It's their Gavalume finish edging. It's a 12-inch height, and they come in 10-foot lengths. Here's an example piece of that. Style will not rust, but they do have black finish and also the more antique or rusted finish. And these come in different heights, so I know they sell from a 4-inch height all the way up to 15 inches. As far as installation, it can vary on whether you install this at just ground level grade or if you sink this in. With this example, I sunk it in for it to be effective for that root barrier. So you can see only a small amount is peeking up from the ground, the rest is sunk underground. And I used a trenching shovel in order to get this in the ground. You can also further get it into the ground if you put a 2x4 right on top of the edging and then hammer that in. But with clay soil, you're likely going to need to trench up in order to get that to a good depth. So I have a good 6 inches of wood mulch down on the ground around the plants, and I want to keep that mulch where I've laid it. With winds, it's pretty easy for that mulch to come up and blow into your other areas of your landscape. As you can see, I have a pond there, and I want to keep the wood chips out of that area, the leaves out of there. Also, if you have pets, if you have chickens, they dig around, they can definitely displace that mulch. So I found edging to be really useful in helping to keep things contained a bit, but it as an actual border here on this path. This particular piece is 6 inches tall, and it more or less is standing on the ground, so keeping that mulch in place. So the benefit with this kind of edging style is it's not as rigid. You can make more of a curved pattern. So more flexibility in design that way. You can see that it's not a straight line, it kind of bevels in and out. And the way I'm securing this, because most of it is above the ground, is I'm using these stakes, and I'll link this product, but basically it's a piece of metal with a sleeve that you just place over the material, and then again you use a wood piece like a 2x4 and hammer this in. And it has stakes on the bottom that pierce the ground pretty well. And this makes it very sturdy, it's not going anywhere. I've got these stakes spaced probably about 30 inches apart, going all the way down. So the other material that I'll use in the landscape is actual wall block. This I picked up at Lowe's, and I'll link the product. Jaxon style kind of flagstone concrete wall. I like this stone because it looks a little bit more natural. Even though it's concrete, you can see that they've stamped it out where there's grooves on both the face of the stone and also the top. And it just makes the stone look a little bit more realistic and dynamic, in my opinion. It's also in a mottled kind of color, again making it look more natural. So these stones, I believe, are 16 inches wide. I actually have these stones double stacked. I believe they're 4 inches high. So by having two on top of each other, you can get 8 inches. And I believe you can stack these stones up to 4 courses, so you can get a nice little wall going. This stone material is a little bit more costly than the steel edging, but you have the advantage of having something that's heavy, long-lasting, it's not going to go anywhere, and for a very straight edge application, I don't think you can beat this. It's really easy to install as long as you have a level surface. So this really helps keep my path clean here of mulch, helps keep this all where it needs to be. Walk through the landscape so you can see the edging in a little bit more detail here. If you want to check out these products in more detail, I do have them in the description area of the video. Again, I'm not sponsored in any way, just products that I use in my garden, and thought this would be helpful since this does come up quite a bit for people designing their garden space. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and happy gardening.